Okay, so till now we saw that root user is existing on the Linux machine, but in the real time you cannot log in as root user. Only system admins can log in as root user. The reason for that is, like, if you log in as root user, you can do whatever you want. You can dismount the volumes, or you can uninstall the software. Anything you can do, because you'll be the super user on that server. So on the real time, you'll not have the root user. So what you have to do is, like, you have to create another user such that the software will be owned by the Oracle user, by the user by which you want to install the software. So in the real time, usually in almost all the companies, we will create a user called as Oracle user in the Linux. Then as Oracle user, we will install the software, which is RDBMS software. And already said, RDBMS software allows you to manage and create the databases. So first we have to install the RDBMS software, which will allow you to create and maintain the databases. So first our step will be, we have to create a user called as Oracle, and then we have to install the software, which is RDBMS software. But the thing is, like, each and every software will have some minimum requirements in order to install the software. If you take like MS Office, the minimum requirement may be you need a Windows 98 operating system and so much RAM, like 250 GB of RAM and all those things. In the same way, when you want to install the RDBMS software, even this will have some prerequisites. So those prerequisites, we need to make sure all the prerequisites are met. Then only we can install this software. So we have to make sure the prerequisites are met. So if you want to know what are the prerequisites to install the software, we usually go to the Oracle site. So once you once you join the company, you'll give some user ID. Like, the manager will giving you some user ID and password, the credentials to log in into the Oracle site. So you log into the Oracle site with those credentials. So this is the Oracle support site. So whenever you have any issues with the Oracle software, or whenever you have any issues with the Oracle database behaving abnormally, or database getting crashed, so what you'll do, you log into this support site and then you log a ticket into the Oracle site. So that I'll show you in the future classes, how to log a ticket with the Oracle site. But for now, we have to see what are the prerequisites to install the Oracle software. So for that, it also gives us a documentation tab, which will show you what are the prerequisites and how to install the software. Okay, so for example, if you want to see what are the prerequisites for installing Oracle 11j R2, we can just do here in the search tab, we have to type prerequisites to install Oracle 11j R2. So 11j R2, this is a software which we will install as part of RDBMS installation. So Okay. So once I search it, I'll get a documentation which will show me what are the prerequisites to install the software. So one of the document I will open it. So this will be the documentation which will show you what are the requirements. So this is the one for installing 11G R2 on RHEL6. It's a 64-bit operating system, but usually the prerequisites are almost it will be the same for operating systems. So now if you go to the requirements details, it will say the minimum RAM should be at least 1 GB. Okay, so we have 1.5 GB allocated for the server, so we'll be good with this requirement. And then we need to have at least 1 times the size of the RAM. So we already created a swap space with 4 GB I guess. So we'll be good with the swap space also. Then after that, we need to make sure these RPMs are installed. So RPMs is nothing but it's like a kind of drivers which you will install after installing the Windows operating system. So even for installing the Oracle software, there are minimum RPMs which needs to be installed such that Oracle software will work functionally. So if you want to make sure the Oracle software works functionally, you need to install these RPMs first. These RPMs you will get it in the disk itself. So in the disk you will have these RPMs, you need to install the RPMs. Okay. So first prerequisite is you need to make sure you have sufficient RAM. Then you need to make sure all the prerequisite or all the RPMs, all the required RPMs are installed or not. Then there are some kernel parameters which you need to set. So in Linux there is a file called as /etc/sysctl.conf. This is the file which will have all the kernel parameters, like how much of memory a server can accept and like what is the IP port range and all those parameters that will be present in this file. So you need to make sure the kernel parameters have these values. For each and every version of Oracle, it will change the kernel parameter values. So for each and every version, you need to make sure in the documentation what are the values provided in the documentation. You need to make sure the kernel parameters have those values. Okay. So once that is done, you need to add some entries in /etc/security/limits.conf. This is the file which will determine how many maximum processes can a user run. So each time, for example, if you are if you are opening any utility like VIA Editor, or if you are opening if you are using a command called as CP or MV to copy or move the files, even in that case a process will be created. So this file will tell you or will configure or will restrict the user how many processes he can run at the same time and how many files he can open. All those limits can be determined using this file. So you need to make sure Oracle can support at least 2047 processes and Oracle user can open at least 1024 files at a time. So this will be going in the Oracle documentation again. You need to make sure these entries are added into the etc security limits.conf, and this file will determine how many maximum files a user can open and how many maximum processes a user can run. Okay. After that, there is one more file called as etc pam.d/login. You need to add this entry, and I tried to find several. I mean, like I googled a lot of things to get what this actual line does, but I was not able to do anything. but usually for all the Oracle installations we will add this one. It is like kind of soft limit, but I was not able to understand. You need to add this line into the file. So this will be the prerequisites. /login. This is the file. In this file you need to add that entry. So once the prerequisites are done, you need to install the RDBMS software. So this will be the steps in which you need to install RDBMS software. So first let us go ahead and create Oracle user. First we need to check whether the user Oracle exists or not. So to check that, the command is id space Oracle. This will show you whether the user is existing or not. Now it says Oracle user, no such user. That means Oracle user is not created yet on this server. So you need to create the user. So to do that, the command will be user add. We already saw user add is a command to create Oracle user. But the thing is, in the real time, if you are joining into a DBA team or in the company, only two groups will be using the Oracle software. So one of the group is DBA group. As a DBA, you need to monitor the databases and you need to create the databases. So you will be using RDBMS software. Okay, so that means group DBA will be using that. Group DBA will be using RDBMS software, and there is another group called as OInstall. That group is called as Oracle installation group. So they'll be involving in building the build team actually. So build team means they'll be creating the databases and they'll be installing the software. So those people will belong to OInstall and they'll be using RDBMS software to create and manage, or to create and install the software. So the main responsibility of Oracle installation group or the build group will be to install the RDBMS software and also to create the databases. But for a DBA, he needs to use RDBMS software in order to manage the databases. So if he has to manage the databases, he needs to use some utilities which are provided by RDBMS software. Say for example, if you want to bring up the database, you need to use the RDBMS software. You need to bring down the database, you need to use the RDBMS software. If you want to create a table, you need to use SQL commands. That means you have to use the utility which is provided in the RDBMS software. So as a DBA, you will be using RDBMS software. So these are the two groups usually who will be using Oracle software. Either he'll be a DBA or he'll belong to a build group. Okay. So first we have to create two groups. So to create the groups, the command will be group add DBA space OInstall. This will create two groups called as DBA and OInstall. Sorry, maybe I can give only one group at a time. So I'll go for group add space OInstall. Okay. Now there are two groups existing, DBA and OInstall. Then after that, I'll create a user Oracle and I'll make primary group as OInstall. -G stands for a primary group and the secondary group will be DBA. As already told you, each and every user in Unix operating system must belong to a group. So in this case, the Oracle user will belong to two groups, which is OInstall and DBA groups. Okay. Now, if you check whether the Oracle user is created or not, yes, Oracle user is there and he belongs to two groups, OInstall and DBA. So this will be the first step in order to install the RDBMS software. You have to create a user and as well as groups. After that, as I told you, we need to modify kernel parameters. So we need to open a file called as etc/. sysctl.conf. This is a file which will have the kernel parameters. So you need to make sure the parameters which are provided here matches to the values or not. Oops. Okay. So first parameter which is present in the documentation is kernel.shmall. So kernel.shmall, if you look at this one, he says it should be physical RAM size by page size. So page size can be found in Linux. The page size can be found using the command page size or page underscore size. One second. Getconf page size. This is a command which will show you the page size. Even that is not working. One second. This is interesting. Okay. So this is a command to get the page size. It should be in capital size actually. So getconf page underscore size. This will give you the page size, which is 4 KB. So our SHMall parameter should be the total physical RAM on the server divided by the page size. And to get the total physical RAM which is available on the server, we use a command free minus g, which will show you the total memory which is allocated on the server, which is 1 GB. But I guess it's more than that. Let us go and check. Free minus m, we'll do free minus m. This will show you in megabytes. So if you see here, the total memory allocated on the server is around 1.5 GB. Okay. So our SHM all parameters should be I'll get it in bytes, which is 1518744 divided 4096. The total memory available in bytes is this much, and the size of the page size is 4096 bytes. So the SHM all value should be 370. Hello? Shiva, do you have any question? Okay. So SHM all value should be 370. Usually we'll go as per the documentation. As per the documentation, that was the value, which is 370 MB. But the thing is, that is the minimum value. That is the minimum value which is required in order to install the Oracle software. But in the real time, we'll go with those documentation. But for now, we will not use that one. These are the values which we have to have. SHM should be at least 2097152. So what I'll do, I'll upload this document into the Dropbox. So make sure you edit the parameter with these values. Okay? And it also describes what each parameter does. So you need to make sure first net.ipv4 underscore forward should be 0. Okay, I have the value as 0. Next, ipv4 conf should be 1. It's good. And then source root should be 0. Even that is good. Kernel sys requirement 0. It's good. In the real time, this will be taken care by system admin. So you will provide the documentation to system admin and he will change it, because this needs to be changed as root user and only system admin can change those values. Sync cookies good. MSG MNB 65536 good. MSG MMax 65536. SHM max. Yeah, this should be changed. So I'll make it as 21478368. SHM mall should be 2097152. Rest of the values are not present here. Rest of the entries are not there. So I'm adding those entries. Okay. Now the entries are added to the kernel parameter file. Now to effect the changes which you made in this file, you need to execute the command /sbin / sysctl -p. This is a command which will which will make the changes affected. What are the changes you made in this file? Those will be affected now once you execute this command. Okay. Now the changes are affected. So we are good with this file. After that, as I told you, we need to change, or we need to add the entries in etc security slash limits dot conf, such that Oracle user can open so many processes and so many files. nproc is nothing but its process, and no file it's nothing but number of files. And each and every descriptor will have a soft limit as well as hard limit. So one of the entry will be for soft limit and the second entry will be for the hard limit. So this will be the soft and hard limits for Oracle user in opening the files and processes. So we need to add these entries into the securitylimits.conf file. Okay, and there is no need to change anything, or then there is no need to run anything to make the changes affected. It will automatically, the changes which we make will be affected for the Oracle user. So we are good with that. And then the another file will be slash etc slash pam.d slash login. Here we need to add one entry, and this will be the entry: sessions required pam underscore limits.sl. I'll upload this document into the Dropbox, so you can also make those changes. Okay, done. After that, we have created the Oracle user. We also need to create the directory. For example, if you are installing Microsoft Office, it will automatically go into C colon program files. So that is a location where you have the Microsoft Office software. In a similar way, you also need to create a directory to install the Oracle software. So what I will do, I will create a directory called as Oracle app Oracle product 1120 slash db1. There is a reason for creating this many subfolders inside slash Oracle. The reason is, whenever you install RDBMS software, it uses several directories to create different types of files. So this is a location. This is a location where I want to install the Oracle software. The reason why I gave it as Oracle app Oracle product 1120 slash db1 is, in Oracle, whenever you are installing RDBMS software, you have two variables. One is Oracle base and another is Oracle home. Oracle home is a location where you will have all the utilities and also configuration files. So under this folder, under db1, you will have several other subfolders which will be used to store utilities as well as configuration files. And again, in Oracle base, this will be served as a base folder to create diagnostic files. So in Oracle, for example, if there is any problem with the software, or if there is any problem with the database, if the database is behaving abnormally, then to get more information about why the database is behaving abnormally, Oracle software, RDBMS software, will create some files which are called as diagnostic files. Under the Oracle base, you will have the diagnostic files. And usually the Oracle base will be in 3 folder structure. So it will be Oracle app Oracle, and Oracle home will be Oracle app Oracle product 1120 slash db1. You can create with any name. The root folder can be of any names like /u01 or /mohan, or you can have anything. But after that, it should be followed by app oracle product 1120 db1. Even here, the db1 can be of any name. The root folder and the child child directory can be of any names. There is no need that it should be of this name only. But usually the Oracle home will be followed by root folder followed by app Oracle product, then the version number. So right now I'm installing the 1120 software. So that is the reason why I'll create 1120 folder. If you're installing 10G software, then you'll create 1020 instead of 1120. So we need to create this directory Oracle app Oracle product 1120 db1. So as I told you, to create a directory we use the command mkdir, then /oracle. This command will create /oracle directory, correct? But I want to create directory in such a way I have to get all these subfolders too. So to do that, we use the option -p. -p then will give the whole path Oracle app Oracle product 1120/db1. So what will happen whenever you issue this command? It will first create a folder called as db1 inside Oracle app Oracle product 1120. But before creating db1, it has to make sure 1120 is existing or not. If 1120 directory is not existing, it will create 1120 folder. After that, it will check for product. If the product is not there, it has to create the product folder too. So whenever you issue this command, it actually creates the directories in an order like under Oracle it will create app folder, under app it will create Oracle, under Oracle it will create product, under product it will create 1120, and then db1 under 1120 folder. So -p means if parent directory is not existing, create the parent directory also. Okay, done. So we created the directory /oracle app Oracle product 1120. But we need to make sure this directory is owned by Oracle user. If the permission is not, like if this directory is owned by root user, you cannot install the Oracle software because you are installing the Oracle software as Oracle user. And if you don't have any read-write permissions on this folder for Oracle user, you cannot install the software. So you need to change the ownership of this one to Oracle user. So chown Oracle colon dba or oinstall space /oracle. So this command will change the ownership of /oracle to Oracle colon oinstall. But even the subdirectories which are present under /oracle, even those subdirectories needs to be owned by Oracle and oinstall group. So to do that recursively, we use the option -R. So recursively change the ownership of all the folders and of all the directories and subdirectories and files which are inside /oracle to Oracle oinstall group. So this will change the ownership of all the directories and subdirectories which are present under /oracle. Okay, so let me add one more step here. After creating the Oracle user, we need to create the directories. Store Oracle software. Okay, now we have everything ready.
For oinstall and DBA groups, what are the permissions we need to give, or defaultly it will create any permissions?
By default it will give read-write permissions because UMass will be 022, right? So it will by default it will give read-write permission.
Okay.
So once you create Oracle user and the directories, just log out from the system and then log in as Oracle user. But the thing is we have to set the password for Oracle user. So whenever you want to log in as any user, you need to have the password in Linux. You cannot log in without any password. So you have to set the password for the Oracle user too. So I'm logging back as root user and I'll set the password for Oracle. So password PASSWD will set the password. Okay, done. Log out, system, log out. And log in. After that, open the browser, go to Dropbox and download the software 11j software. So I have the software ready. I've copied it onto the server. I downloaded it already. So I download the software as root user. So as a result, the folder is owned by root user. So I'm changing the ownership to Oracle. For you guys, you'll be logging in as Oracle and you'll be downloading the software. So you don't need to perform this step. Okay, done. Okay, and as already told you, in the real time, you'll not have access to the graphical user interface. You will only have access to command line interface. So you'll be logging into the server as PuTTY, correct? So let me check the IP address. I'll be logging in as Oracle user now. Okay. To install the RDBMS software, you will invoke a utility called as run installer. In Windows, you will have Oracle Universal Installer. It is similar actually, run installer and Oracle Universal Installer. So this is a graphical user interface. So the moment you invoke this command, the moment you run installer, it will open up a graphical user interface. But the thing is, here, if you run /run installer, it cannot open the graphical user interface because PuTTY is a command line interface. It's just a character based interface. You cannot open a graphical user interface from the PuTTY. So in order to open graphical user interface from the PuTTY, you need a third party software. Let me check whether I have that software or not. I don't have the software, so let me download the software first. Yeah. Xming is a software which we will use in order to enable PuTTY with graphical user interface. So this is a free software. You can download it from the Google. You can download it straight from the software. Xming download for Windows 7 64-bit. So this is the official site for the Xming, and you can just select this one, Xming. One second. Maybe it's, yeah, we'll have to go for public, so go for this one. I'll do one thing. I already have the software, I guess. Let me check once. Yeah, I already have the software. I'll upload this software into the Dropbox, so just download it from the Dropbox itself. So I'll install this one. Just go ahead with the default ones. Don't change anything. Click on finish. Now on the notification section on the Windows, if you see, there'll be icon with Xming. So that means Xming is up and running now. So it's running. After that, what you have to do, you cannot use this terminal. So you need to open another terminal. So we'll click on new session. We'll provide the same IP address, which is 192.168.1.107. And then after that, you need to enable a forwarding mechanism. That means whenever you are trying to invoke any graphical user interface, it should be opened by Xming. So that request, the graphical user interface request, will redirect it to the Xming software. So to do that, we have to click on the SSH. On the left side, you'll have the SSH. Click on the plus button. After that, there'll be an option called as X11. Click on X11 and click on enable X11 forwarding, and then click on open. So you need to enable the X11 forwarding. Okay. After that, you have to export the display. That means the graphical user interface. Whatever the graphical user interface you are trying to open through PuTTY, it needs to be invoked on your Windows laptop. Okay, so you need to export the display to your Windows laptop. To do that, first you have to go to command prompt, cmd, and you have to type the IP config. You'll get the IP address here. So my IP address is, one second. This is my IP address. So you have to go for local area connection or something else. It should be same as your default gateway. The subdomain should be same as your default gateway. So if default gateway subdomain is 1, your IP address will also be on the same subdomain. So this is my IP address, which is 192.168. 1.145. So I'll do export space display equal to 192.168.1 dot. Do anyone remember that? 145
145.
colon 0.0. So you have to export the display as IP address colon 0.0. After that, you need to make sure the graphical user interface is going into x11 or not, into the xming or not. So to check that, we use the command xclock. This will this will actually open a graphical watch. It will show you the time. So we need to make sure it is getting open here or not. If I type the same command here, xclock, you can see xclock graphical clock opened up. The same thing I need to get it from PuTTY. Okay, we'll do one thing. We'll try to invoke the 10G itself. We'll see. Or I'll do one thing. I'll exit this one and I'll again try to open it. We'll see whether it works or not. Give me a second. Okay. One second. Even in the real time, it will be, you will have some difficulties in configuring this one. Let me figure it out. Looks like I'm unable to get it worked. I'll do one thing. There is another software called as VNC. Using that also, you can enable the graphical user interface with the party. So we'll try to use this software and we'll check it out. So you need to select VNC VR for Windows. It should be 64-bit and click on the download. You have to provide your details. There's no other way. And this will be a trial version. It will be valid for 1 month.
Email ID is wrong.
Sorry?
Email ID given wrong email ID.
No, it's correct. What I gave?
Email that.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's. We'll see whether I'll be able. Okay, I'm able to download. That's okay. This is VNC Viewer. We need to install this in Windows, and another will be VNC Server. You need to install VNC Server on Linux machine. So again, we need to go back to products. We'll do one thing. We'll just go back Google again. We go for VNC Server. One is VNC Viewer that will be installed in Windows machine, and then we'll go for VNC Server. Okay. Yeah. So we have to go for VNC for Linux, Red Hat compatible version, and it should be 32-bit. So click on download. You should get a license. So you need to click on the license button, and for the personal, click on try. Provide the details again. Okay, I got the license too. I'll ping it to you. Use the same license. I'll upload this software also into the Dropbox.
Okay.
Okay, I'm installing the VNC viewer. Okay, it looks like it's just an executable file, so we don't need to install it. It's just an executable file. We have to install this one, VNC 5.0.5. So let me show you. We have to copy the software. Now I downloaded the software into Windows machine. So we have to copy the software from Windows to Linux machine. So we'll be using utility called as WinSCP. Even this is free. We'll open WinSCP and it's similar to the PuTTY. So we have to provide the host name. We're connecting to Linux server now, 192.168.1.107. Then username and password. I have to copy this as root user because that needs to be installed as root user only. Okay, I'll go to downloads. I'm copying the file to Linux machine. So the moment you log into the WinSCP software, you'll have two windows. On the left side, it will be Windows, and on the right side, it will be Linux. So I'll just click on copy, and this will transfer the file from Windows to Linux.
So Mohan, actually this software particularly used for the file transfer, right?
Yeah, WinSCP will be used for the file transfer.
So we cannot use like FileZilla.
FileZilla, maybe we can use any type of software. It's not only that you have to use WinSCP. You can use any type of SFTP. So even SFTP you can use it.
FTP or SFTP?
SFTP and FTP both. If SFTP is configured on Windows machine, you can use that also.
Okay.
Okay. So this file, the tar file which we downloaded, it is gzipped. So we need to extract the file. We need to gunzip the file. To unzip the file, the command will be gunzip space file name. Okay. Now it will be tar. So it is tarred, and again it's a double compression actually. So we need to untar the file now. So to untar the file, the command will be tar minus xvf space file name. So here x means extract. If you want to compress a file, instead of x, we'll use C option. C stands for compress and x stands for extract. Okay, now the file is extracted. We have to install VNC viewer. This is the viewer which, VNC server. We have to install the VNC server. This will be RPM. So in order to install the RPM, the command will be RPM minus IVH space RPM name. So this will be the command to install the RPM. I stands for install again. V means verbose. If it has, it will show you what is happening when you are installing. Okay, not an RPM package. Sorry, it should be RPM. Okay. The problem is we have to conflicts with the file. We downloaded the 64-bit one. Sorry, we have to download the 32-bit. Maybe I overlooked there. So let me download the 32-bit one. x86 means it's a 64-bit actually. So if you see here, it says x86. So that should not be the one. So let me check again. There is some problem again. All downloads. It should be Red Hat compatible and it should be 32-bit. So go for this one. Download. Again, it's going for x86. Give me a second. Okay, I already have the software VNC server, so we need to start this software. VNC server is already installed. We need to start the VNC server software. So to do that, we have to start VNC server software. So this software, we will start it as Oracle user. Even in your machine, try to check like it's already installed or not. So using this command, we can check it out. rpm-qa grep vnc. Maybe it will be installed on your machines also. Okay. Okay. Now the VNC server is started. If you want to check whether it is running or not, ps-ef grep vnc will show you whether it's running or not. Okay, it is running. So you have to connect to the server, which is 192.168.1.107. These are Linux machine. We'll click on connect. Okay, so before making a connection from VNC Viewer, you need to open a party. Click on run. Go to SSH. This time it will not be X11. You need to click on tunnels. If you are using VNC Viewer, you need to click on tunnels. Now, if you look at VNC software or VNC server software, it is running on port 5901. So if I do ps-ef grep vnc, it will show me the port on which VNC Viewer is running. So it is running on port 5901. So we have to go to PERT, go to tunnels. Here add a port called as 5901, and on the destination you have to specify localhost colon 5901. This is the way we have to specify L5901 and then localhost colon 5901. After that, click on open. You need to go to session and give the IP address 192.168.1.107. Open, login. Okay. After that, you need to go to VNC viewer. Now click on connect. 10061. 1 second. That's localhost. Maybe it should be in small. Let me try again. This is ridiculous. Okay, I'll do one thing. For now, I'll just use this one. In the next class, I'll show you how to invoke the graphical user interface because it's already wasting time. So I'll just install the software from virtual machine itself. I'm sorry. I'll show you on the next class probably.
Okay.
Okay. So whenever you download the software from Oracle site, it will not usually have the execute permission for the run installer. So you need to give the execute permission for all the files. So better to chmod 777 minus capital R 777 star whenever you want to invoke the run installer. After that, invoke the run installer. So to invoke the run installer, the command will be dot space dot slash run installer. This will be the command which will invoke the graphical user interface. Okay. So this will invoke a graphical user interface. Now it will prompt you for email and password. So you don't need to specify an email and password. Just click on next. Click on S. After that, you need to select create and configure a database. So select that option and click on next. All the steps will be similar even if you invoke the installer from PuTTY. But the only thing is you need to make sure the graphical user interface is projected onto your Windows machine. Right now, if you see the graphical user interface on Linux, but in the real time, you should project that into the Windows environment. Then only you can install the software. So then click on next. Yeah. Here there are two options. One is desktop class and another is server class. You can just click on the server class. We have sufficient all RAM and everything. So click on server class, click on next. And then here you'll have two options. One is standalone database and another is cluster database. Cluster database will see it in the future classes. For now, we'll go ahead for the single instance database installation. And then we'll click on next. There are two types of installations. One is typical installation and the second one is advanced installation. So typical installation, it will not allow you to change any of those values. So we'll go for advanced installation and then we'll click on next. Then we have to select the language as English. That's good. It's already selected. Just go ahead and click on next. There are 3 editions with Oracle. Any of the RDBMS software, there will be 3 versions. One is Enterprise Edition. The second one will be Standard Edition and the third one will be Standard Edition 1. The difference between Enterprise and Standard Edition is within the Enterprise Edition you will have several options, like a table can be partitioned. If a table is bigger, to manage the table efficiently we'll partition the table. So it will have some additional features when compared to the Standard Edition. So in the real time we'll go for the Enterprise Edition. So even now we'll select the Enterprise Edition and we'll click on next. After that, it will ask you the location where you want to install the software. So I already told you about Oracle Base and Oracle Home. So Oracle Base will be /Oracle /app/Oracle and Oracle Home will be DB1. It will be Oracle APP Oracle Product 11.2 or DB1. Then click on next. After that, click on next again. Yeah. So again, Oracle Base is a directory where you will have all the diagnostic information, as well as it will serve as a parent folder for the Oracle software location. Then coming to inventory is a folder which will have the information about what kind of Oracle versions you are installing. So whether you are installing Oracle 11G or Oracle 10G, all those details will be stored in Oracle inventory. So usually the Oracle inventory location will be Oracle APP or inventory only. So don't change anything. Then click on next. Here there are two types of databases you can create. One is general purpose and another is data warehouse. Actually here what I'm doing is I'm doing two steps. One is I'm installing RDBMS software and the second is I'm creating a database. So the first step will be it will install RDBMS software and the second step will be using the RDBMS software it will create a database. So this option is to create a database. So we'll go for general purpose. We'll click on next. Here we have to specify the database name. For now we'll give the database name as test. I'll tell you what is database name and what is service identifier SID in the future classes. So for now we'll just go ahead and give it as test. This one actually this installation is only to teach you SQL commands and SQL basics. After that I'll show you the clear picture like what internally happens and how the database will be created. Then click on next. Go for default values. Click on next again. Yeah, once go back. In the sample schemas there is a tab called as sample schemas. Click on that tab. Yeah, it's already enabled, so we are good. Click on next. Uncheck this one. We don't need this one, so go ahead and uncheck this one. There is no option. Okay, let it be like this only. Click on next and then it will ask you for the file system. So here what we'll do, we have another mount point. If you remember when we are building the server, we have actually 4 to 5 mount points. One of the mount point is slash database. So we will use slash database to store the data files. So as we are installing the Oracle software and as we are creating the database as Oracle user, we need to make sure the database mount point is owned by Oracle user. So right now it is owned by root. So change the ownership to Oracle. So chown minus capital R Oracle oinstall slash database. Okay, done. We'll give the database. Here we have to specify the location where you want to install, where you want to create the database files, the files related to the database. So I'll go ahead and give it a slash database, and within the database I will create a folder. I'll create a folder called as test. Within that test I want to store all the files which are related to the database. So I'll give it as slash database slash test and we'll click on next. Yeah, we'll select do not enable automatic backups and then we'll click on next. After that, whenever you're installing and creating the database, by default, in the process of creating a database, it will create some set of predefined users. So it will prompt you for the password to be set for those users. So those users will be sys, system, sysman and dbs nmp. So these are the users which we'll use, and the super user for the Oracle database will be sysuser. Whenever you log into the database as sysuser, you can do whatever you want. You can drop a database, you can create a database, you can do whatever you want. It is similar to the root account for Linux. So instead of specifying a password for each and every user, I will select this option, use the same password for all accounts, and then I'll specify the password here. I'll give it as Oracle only and then click on next, click on S. After that just click on next. Yeah, so as I told you, after changing all the kernel parameters and everything, we have to install some RPMs which are similar to the drivers in Windows. So we need to install all these RPMs. So if you see here, it is saying some of the prerequisites are not met. So please fix them and try to install the software. So we need to install all these RPMs. Okay. So to install all those RPMs, what I did was, in the Dropbox folder which I shared, you'll have a folder called as RPMs. So in this RPMs folder, you have all the RPMs which are required to install. So you need to download all of them. Okay, you need to download all the RPMs from this folder in the Dropbox. So right now I have all those RPMs. I'll just copy them back. Let me check, or I'll download it from here itself. I'll download from here itself. Okay. If the download is completed, you need to unzip them. So right click, extract here. Okay, this created a folder called as RPMs. Now within this one, also in that folder, also specify a text file. So the order in which these RPMs need to install. So what I'll do, I'll right click here. So within the RPMs folder, I'll right click and I'll click on open in terminal. So this will open a terminal from this folder itself. Now if you view the file rpm.txt, this is the order in which you have to install the RPMs. If you want to install, for example, if you're installing the last RPM first, there may be some chances that this RPM may be dependent on the above RPMs. So this is the order you need to follow in installing the RPMs. Okay, so I'll just copy this one. Then you need to install this RPMs as root user. So I'll just paste it here. It will install all the RPMs. Okay, so one of the RPM failed. So if you look at this one, it says warning GCC-C failed dependencies GC 4.1.2 is needed by GC-C, something it said. So what we have to do now, first we need to install this RPM, then we need to install this RPM. So it actually errored out. So first thing is, it said this is required. GCC is needed by GCC++. So this RPM actually requires this RPM need to be installed. So what we have to do here, do ls -ltr. 1 second. It's not yet completed now. Let me complete this one. Okay. Okay. Now do ls minus ltr, then gcc star. You will see 2 RPMs. So first you need to install this one. After that you need to install GCC C++. Okay, now the RPMs are installed. Go to your run installer graphical user interface. Click on fix and check again or check again. Click on check again. Okay, if you see here, all the RPMs which are required, they are gone. The only thing which is now left is, yeah. So if you remember, actually, I copied the lines from here, but I wantedly missed this number 6. The reason is there is one advantage in 11g software. In 10g software, you need to go into each and every file like sysctl.conf, security.conf, limits.conf, pam.d to add the entries. But in 11g software, the advantage is you can click on fix and check again. So by clicking this one, it will give you a script which will automatically change those values. So now if you see here, the actual value should be 1048576, the expected value, but the actual value was 57. 6 was not written or 6 was not copied properly. So what we have to do is we need to click on fix and check again. It will give you a script. You need to run this script as root user. So open a terminal, log in as root user, and just paste the script name from. That's it, done. Now go back to the graphical, click on check again. Okay. Yeah, so now you need to click on this OK. As it modified the value, now everything will be good. You'll go ahead with the next window. Just click on finish. This will install the software as well as it will create the database. The only thing we missed was to enable the graphical user interface with PuTTY. Do you have any questions till now? How did I confuse you?
Mm-hmm.
Hello?
Not yeah.
Did I confuse you guys? I mean like with the PuTTY?
Uh,
Mohan,
Yeah.
what is the meaning of RPM? The RPM means?
It's a package actually.
So no, what a full name, like RPM, like
It's required package media.
require package media.
I guess let me check once. Yeah, it's package manager.
Package manager.
Yeah.
Okay, okay, that's fine. This software used for particular one Linux or Oracle?
RPMs are for operating system, not for Oracle.
Not Oracle. This is operating system, the Linux.
Yeah, it's like drivers we install after the Windows installation. Till Windows XP, we need to install the drivers manually, if you remember.
Yes, right.
Yeah. One is RDBMS and the second is creating the database. So till now it installed the RDBMS software. Now it is creating the database. Once database is created, just click on OK. After that, it will give you two scripts which you need to run as root user. Remember, you need to run these scripts as root user. So just click on the script name, select it, and do a Control C. You cannot right click and select the copy. So do a Control C by selecting the file, do a Control C, go to the terminal where you logged in as root user. Make sure you logged in as root user. So I logged in as root user here. Just paste. Okay, done. Now execute the second script. Similar way, Control C, execute it. Okay, done. That's it. After that, once the scripts are executed, just click on OK. Click on close. That's it, done. So this is the way we'll